What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Mahershala Ali film, The Green Book. The Green Book is directed by Peter Farrelly, stars Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali. It tells the story of Dr. Don Shirley, a very prominent and impressively talented pianist who was around and very popular in the late 50s and early 1960s. And when he decides in the early 1960s that he wants to go on a concert tour of the Deep South, he needs a driver, but also someone who can handle himself in some of the rougher situations that they may get themselves into down there, as Dr. Don Shirley is an African-American man, and this is before the Civil Rights Act had been passed in 1964. This movie covers that story between these two men. Viggo Mortensen plays a man named Tony Lip, who's worked sort of as like a bouncer and things in nightclubs and stuff like that, and he's given the job to be his driver. And upon accepting the job, he has had maybe racist tendencies in the past, but they begin to form a friendship and a bond over the course of this trip. And holy lord, are the performances in this movie just of the highest caliber. Mahershala Ali, who won the Best Supporting Acting Oscar 2 years ago, is nominated again this year for this film, and I completely understand why. His performance in this film is absolutely amazing. I think it's very clear that he's a talented actor. No one has ever argued that, but this film really solidifies it. He is able to portray this man who is of such deep intelligence that it is mind-blowing that a human being can be that smart and that talented at so many different things. And I absolutely adored his performance. He is this broken man who doesn't know where he belongs. He has these mixed feelings about so many different things in his life, and it all comes through in this really beautiful performance of a man trying to find where he belongs, and through that, finding someone who he never thought would be a friend as maybe his closest friend. And then alongside him, you have Viggo Mortensen. Now, Viggo has been obviously a personal favorite of mine since The Lord of the Rings. I adore Lord of the Rings, and I think he is the best thing about Lord of the Rings. And I think over the course of his career, whether it's Eastern Promises or Captain Fantastic or all of the different things that he has made, he has continued to showcase that he is one of the best actors in Hollywood, and he's very particular about roles that he chooses. And I think the fact that he took this role already speaks volumes about the film. But his performance in this movie is one of the best that I have seen all year. It's one of the best I've seen in a long time. He really embodies this character, the nuances of him in all of these different scenes, the way his character reacts. He's this very street smart man who knows how to work people. And I love the dichotomy between him and Mahershala Ali's character, because they're constantly butting heads over things, but it's because Tony, who is Viggo's character, just doesn't understand some things. And I think that that mix of minds makes this film so much more entertaining. Their banter between one another is so funny and so real feeling, because this film has this beautiful way of showcasing how bonds are formed between people. It doesn't take these massive moments of deep crying conversation that you have late at night with someone. It can literally just be you and somebody sitting in a car sharing a meal on a road trip, and all of a sudden you feel so much closer to that person. And that's really what this film does so well. The dialogue is so well written and feels so realistic that it's so believable that in real life, these two people who had opposing views on the world were able to come together and become great friends. Peter Farrelly does a great job directing the film. This is a very simple story that could have used a very simple hand to direct it, but instead he utilizes really interesting camera choices to showcase a lot of scenes. The set design is wonderful, all of the clothing is great, and then the music in the film, not just the music he plays at concerts, which is wonderful and beautifully performed, but also the music that they use to tell the story, to build the bond of these two people. This movie is about two people, and if they wouldn't have worked together, the movie wouldn't work at all. But because the two of them feel so real and they've embodied these characters so much, it's like you're literally watching a documentary almost about these two people. I do have one small issue with the film. When I say small, I do mean small, because I really enjoyed this film. And it's sort of the general plot. So the movie's plot makes sense, obviously. He wants to go on the tour of the Deep South. All of that. He needs protection, he gets him, they go together. I think my issue is that the film's villains feel like sort of this blob. It's sort of just this amalgamation of general racism. And I feel like because of that, while the film has a wonderful pace and we're always moving forward, it's sort of a mishmash of scenes of that. You get this amalgamation of racism in the Deep South, but there's not one particular villain. It's sort of just this idea, which I think is great when you look at it as the villain of this film is racism because it doesn't need to exist because it's horrible and wrong. But I think in storytelling, it would have worked better, I think, if they would have chosen like one venue where he was supposed to perform a concert that had this particularly horrible person that we had heard about earlier in the film, rather than it just sort of be a time-by-time basis of him experiencing racism. I'm gonna give The Green Book an A-. This was one of the most beautiful and wonderful films I saw all year. It made me laugh, it made me so happy to see, and I loved the performances and the writing. Like I said, with the exception of one small issue, I really, really loved this film. It came out of left field. I wasn't expecting to like it this much because I thought it was going to be kind of a generic, just buddy drama story, but it was so much more than that, and I honestly recommend this movie to everyone because I don't think there is an audience that could not like this movie. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of The Green Book, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and hope to see you guys later.